Welcome to the video. We're checking out the book known as What Every Pianist Needs to Know About the Body. I've provided the link in the description for you to check out the book. And before I get into the video, I just want to say that whatever being talked about in this video is only the important points. I'm not really, reading out the whole thing. So if you want to know much more about the book, like if you want to dive deeper into it, then it's highly recommended that you go check out the book because it's just wonderful. Now let's get into the video. Now let's talk about the previous methods or exercises that we have been using to improve our techniques throughout many generations. There have been many exercises like keeping every other finger in its place and just moving one finger and extending it towards the other keys. This actually causes tension in our hands, and it's something that we're not really supposed to do, but we have been doing it for so many years. Or there's another technique like the coin on the back, which is pretty famous, but it actually produces tension because we keep our hands so still, and keeping our hands still is always going to produce tension. And there are many exercises like this. I could name so much more, like Hannon's exercise. It has been improvised so much by these new generations to make really good use of it. But back in the days, it has been really mechanical. And practicing Hannon in a really mechanical way is not a good idea. It's only going to destroy your hands. But there are also some real good techniques out there. So what's the problem is that the teachers mix these good and bad techniques, and this gets passed on to the next and next generations. So it's actually no good. Probably one of the few techniques that you've learned may actually produce tension, and you may not even know that because you're so accustomed to that you're not really aware of it. The next thing we're going to talk about is the most important thing from the whole book. If not the important, it's one of the most important stuff. So for those of you who don't know, we actually have a sixth sense. It's called the kinesthetic sense. It's the ability to know the position and movements of the skeleton and the joints. So whenever I lift up my left hand above my head, I will know exactly where that is, like exactly up how high up above my head those fingertips are. And when I lift up my right hand to touch the tip of my left fingers, I can easily do it. It's because of the kinesthetic receptors. It's because it's giving my brain the input. The input is the position, the exact position of my finger, hand, arm, every sort of joint that there is. But the kinesthetic receptors are not only on the joints, but it's also on the ligaments, muscles. It's like all around the body, but we are mainly gonna concentrate on the joints here. So whenever we're gonna lift our right hand to touch our fingertips of the left hand, we can easily do it. So this is kinesthetic sense. But there are times when, the input that we receive from the kinesthetic sense may not be used by us. There can be times like that. So whenever we are really concentrating on something, like for example, I'm reading a book. Whenever I'm really into reading a book, I may not really feel my leg. I may not feel past my shoulder, and not my head, my back, the spine, the pelvis, the knee joint, ankle joint. I may not feel those parts. But the truth is that the kinesthetic receptors are actually sending back the signals, but we're just not paying enough attention to that. So the information that we receive is going to go wasted. And that is exactly why absolute concentration on something is not important, and it's actually pretty dangerous as well. When we are playing the piano, when we are concentrating on our fingers, on our arms, we're just forgetting about every other body parts that are just as important as our arms, our shoulders, our back, our spine, our neck. It's so important. These are all really important parts that we should be paying attention to when we are playing the piano. And because of this, whenever a teacher tells a student to relax or just relax yourself, something like that, the student always concentrate only up to their shoulders. That's it. They're not gonna pay attention to any other joint. In fact, the shoulder joint is indirectly connected to our breastbone, and so our arm is actually right like below, right here. That's where our arm actually starts. But people, they're not really paying attention to their body parts, so that part is actually tense, and because of that, injuries can happen.